All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Craig Haney, and I am the Director of Marketing here at Energent. I wanted to thank you for taking the time to learn about how you can leverage energy incentive programs for your industrial business. Incentive programs for energy efficiency have become quite popular with utility companies in the past years. This has been primarily driven by requirements presented to utilities to reach conservation targets set by government organizations. To reach these lofty energy conservation goals, many utilities have come up with programs to encourage businesses and industries to lower their energy use through improved processes and newer equipment. Many times these programs come with some red tape, strings, and other commitments which may not be fully understood by the businesses, and it creates some uncertainty about these incentive programs. Are they worth the work? What happens if I don't reach my commitments? It is our goal today, by the end of this webinar, to explain what programs are available across the country, what is required to access them, and how Energent can be a valuable partner to maximize the incentives available for energy programs for your manufacturing business. If you have any questions during the presentation, please use the question tab to the right of your screen and type your questions. The presentation will take about 30 minutes and we'll leave 15 minutes for questions that people may have asked throughout the webinar. The webinar will also be recorded and posted on the Energent website. So if you want to refer to this webinar at a later time, you are able to, as well as you're able to forward this link to any colleagues that might be interested in the topic, but unable to attend today. So let's begin. Today's webinar will focus on informing you about different energy incentive programs across the country, how to access these programs, what thresholds are required to sign up for these programs, and what commitments are needed to access the money. We will talk about the specifics of each program, whether they are for capital upgrades, for performance applications such as Energent, or for human capital costs such as hiring an energy manager. Finally, we will tie in how we can help you access the appropriate incentive programs for your business and maximize the return on investment that are possible. Let's start by taking an overview of how energy incentive programs are structured. Energy incentive programs are designed to support and encourage companies to reduce their energy consumption. Most do this through special energy conservation measures or projects designed to lower energy costs by implementing procedural changes or through capital improvements such as replacing or retrofitting equipment. These project-based incentives usually have thresholds that must be met by committing to the company to ensure saving targets are met. Some thresholds might be a minimum level of consumption of electricity or natural gas, or a minimum amount of savings required that must be achieved. Embedded within these programs, parameters are required payback timelines that companies must meet to get their energy projects approved. Often these timelines are tight, usually 1 year, but if these paybacks can be committed to and achieved, the incentive programs can be very lucrative. Often if the savings persist, they improve the overall benefit to the company. When investigating incentive programs that are being offered by utilities, it is important to understand your company's goals, as not all programs are designed for the same outcome. Some are very good at enhancing a company's ability to justify capital upgrades, and others are designed to reward low-cost or no-cost process changes. As well, some programs offer upfront incentive money, where others are offering the funding based on successfully fulfilling requirements throughout the project. Finally, these incentive programs are not designed as opportunities for a company to receive free money. In all cases, the company must commit to energy reduction targets, participating both financially and operationally to achieve energy conservation results, and ultimately embedding energy conservation into the culture of the organization. It is important to understand how these incentive programs operate and are designed to choose the best ones for your organization. We will now review the Natural Resources Canada Incentive Program around the newly released ISO 50001 Energy Management Systems Standard. We've organized today's webinar to review a federal incentive program and then move into incentive programs at the provincial level. So let's start at the national-wide level with the Canadian Industry Program for Energy Conservation, or CIPEC, designed to fund the new ISO 50001 Energy Management Systems. This is a screenshot of the CIPEC website, and specifically the CIPEC program. As you can see from the blue circle, SIPAC is focused on introducing and piloting the CSA ISO 50001 standard. Let's take a quick look into the standard and the funding available to implement this into your manufacturing business. The purpose of this international standard is to enable organizations to establish the systems and processes necessary to improve energy performance, including energy efficiency, use, and consumption. Implementation of this international standard is intended to lead to reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and other related environmental impacts and energy costs through systematic management of energy. This international standard specifies energy management system requirements upon which an organization can develop, implement an energy policy, and establish objectives, targets, and action plans. In the context of energy management, the plan, do, check, and act approach can be outlined as follows. Plan. Conduct an energy review and establish the baseline, energy performance indicators, objectives, targets, and action plans necessary to deliver results that will improve energy performance in accordance with the organization's energy policy. We need to do something. We need to implement these energy management action plans. You need to constantly check, monitor, and measure processes and the key characteristics of operations that determine energy performance against the energy policy and objectives, and report these results. We also need to take actions to continually improve the energy performance and the energy management system. An energy management system is required for all ISO 50001 certifications. This energy management system, or EMIS as I will refer to later, does not have to be a real-time software application such as Energent, but it does require regular monitoring and reporting of energy commodities such as electricity, gas, and water. An automated system makes this process much easier and faster, however. This slide is a schematic of the ISO Continual Improvement Protocol. For many of you, you are familiar with other ISO standards and the requirements and documentation around these. ISO 50001 follows a similar continuous improvement process designed to have impact throughout an organization. This is reinforced by having an energy policy as the first aspect of the process and moving through implementation and operations, ensuring that these operations are achieving the required results. Maybe more importantly, the review phase that encourages updates in the energy policy as lessons and learnings from the implementation and operation phase. Let's go back to the SIPAC homepage and see what funding opportunities are available to pilot and ultimately implement an ISO 50001 standard. This is the section of the homepage that you can view incentive programs that are available. To help industrials and manufacturing organizations understand the value of ISO 50001 and pilot a project, SIPAC has developed an incentive program to reduce the risk and encourage adoption. SIPAC will support 50% of the cost of implementing an ISO 50001 pilot project up to $25,000. The components of this pilot include an energy management information system like Energent, an EMIS audit, any professional fees occurring during this pilot project, and staff training. The final deliverable is a report that will detail the requirements to complete the certification. Baseline models and energy consumption, energy performance targets, estimated timelines, and monitoring and reporting procedures are all required at the end of the pilot. Well, to be honest, most pilot projects will exceed the $50,000 required to receive the full $25,000 rebate. For those that are interested in conducting a pilot project for the ISO 50001, look at this as an investment in a long-term energy management strategy. So this is the only national energy management incentive program that is available through the National Resources Canada and SIPAC, but there are a number of provincial programs that we will now investigate. Each program handles their utilities slightly different, making this a complicated incentive structure. Thankfully, the team at Energent has done a significant amount of work to understand the differences between provinces for you to help you to understand how to take advantage of these incentive programs to lower your energy cost and your impact on the environment. We will focus on the provinces that are attending most for today's webinar. Let's start in the left coast and the BC Hydro program. BC Hydro has been considered a leader in developing and executing on energy efficiency programs. These programs have been successful in lowering British Columbia's electricity consumption and inviting other utilities across North America to investigate why the BC Hydro programs have been so successful. Their programs began in the commercial sector and have yielded success across small and large commercial buildings. And this same dedication to energy efficiency is being continued in the industrial sector. As you can see, I have put up BC Hydro's homepage again to help you navigate where to find many of these incentive programs. BC Hydro's industrial program is set up with three specific components: funding to help hire an energy manager, energy studies and audits to understand the opportunity, and plant and equipment upgrades to execute on these opportunities. An energy manager can become the quarterback of any energy management program and be accountable to the success of these projects. Energy studies and audits help organizations understand the potential for energy conservation and identify the best opportunities to achieve targets. The type of studies, energy conservation, and identify the best opportunities to achieve these targets. The type of studies that are funded include site investigations, plant-wide audits, end-use assessments, and feasibility studies. Finally, plant equipment information supports capital upgrades for large electricity-sucking equipment such as compressed air systems, fans, blowers, lighting, pumps, and refrigeration units. Obviously, depending on the process involved in your business, your organization will want to explore different avenues and programs that suit your overall goals. Understanding the programs available is a very good first step. So this is Manitoba's Hydro's homepage. The incentive programs can be found in the bottom right of their homepage. This is where you'll find the Power Smart program for commercial and industrial businesses. Once you click through, we can find the specific programs available for industrial customers. We will focus on two programs that Manitoba Hydro manages. The first one is the Performance Optimization Program for electricity and the Natural Gas Optimization Program for natural gas. So there are two available programs for electricity conservation if you have operations in the province of Manitoba. As with many programs across the country, the program starts with feasibility studies to investigate the opportunities to invest in and verify saving opportunities. The funding available for these programs are 50% supported by the utility and 50% supported by the participating company. These programs will cover half of the study setup and any remaining costs up to a total of $15,000. There is also funding to implement the results of the feasibility studies. These incentive programs are designed to reward participants as they reduce their electricity consumption. As you can see, companies can be reimbursed 10 cents per kilowatt hour saved annually and $200 for every kilowatt of demand reduced. As with almost all programs, there are limitations in the incentives, and these are limited to 50% of the total project cost, or the amount needed to get the project to a one-year payback, or $250,000 in total incentives. Manitoba Hydro also manages natural gas programs in the province. The natural gas program is set up with an identical structure, but slightly different and smaller incentive numbers. Feasibility studies are priced at the same level as electricity. The implementation measures are funded at 30 cents for every meter cubed of gas reduced, and the limits are just a little lower, up to about $100,000. So now let's explore the incentive programs available for electricity users in Ontario. Ontario is one of the most complicated electricity distribution systems in North America, so it should come to no one's surprise that the conservation rebates and incentives are also one of the most complicated. Saying that, there is an opportunity to save significant amounts of money if the program can be managed properly. For those that are not from Ontario, I want to provide a brief overview of how incentive programs work in Ontario. The programs are designed and funded through the Ontario Power Authority, or the OPA, but the programs are delivered and administered at the local level through local distribution companies, or LDCs. So here is the OPA website. The OPA runs a number of incentive programs for commercial, institutional, and industrial customers. We will highlight two areas that are focused on the industrial sector: demand response and process and systems. There are a number of programs that may benefit industrial customers, but these are the two that offer the largest incentives. Demand response programs pay large electricity users to curtail their electricity use during times when the electricity grid is under stress. The goal of these programs is to reduce the strain on the grid during the warmest times of year and the OPA is willing to pay big dollars for this. Industrial customers must have a cost-effective way to reduce their grid electricity consumption and still maintain their production processes. For those that have this infrastructure available, it can be a big revenue generator. Energent supports companies that have a demand response program by understanding when the demand on the grid is greatest, and therefore help manufacturing companies prepare for possible demand response events from the LDCs. The Process and Systems Program is designed to support improvement in industrial processes and capital projects designed to eliminate waste and lower energy costs. Let's take a deeper look into this program. The Process and Systems Program is divided into two parts: energy efficiency upgrades and ongoing energy management and monitoring. The energy efficiency upgrade part supports the research and implementation of purchasing energy-efficient capital equipment. Typically, the incentive program begins with a preliminary study. If the study's results show an opportunity for savings through capital upgrades, then the company would move towards a more detailed study to investigate the business case. These studies are more expensive and more detailed and will result in a clear go or no-go analysis for specific capital upgrades. Finally, for those detailed studies that give the green light to invest in capital projects that will save 100 megawatt hours or more, then 70% of the costs are covered by the OPA. An important note: a measurement and verification plan must be in place when measuring the savings. This ensures the projects are achieving the savings that are required for the program to be successful. Energent has been doing real-time measurement and verification for companies across Canada, and we're happy to showcase how our platform can support any OPA incentive application. The second part of the Process and Systems Program is the Energy Management and Monitoring Program, and there are three areas here. First is an Embedded Energy Manager, second is Monitoring and Targeting Project, and finally there's a Meter Lending Project. An Embedded Energy Manager supports companies that do not have someone within the organization to oversee and manage energy. These energy managers will be responsible to deliver and execute the energy conservation plan that has been put in place in conjunction with the OPA. 80% of the energy manager's salary can be covered by the OPA, and this person would be responsible for implementing projects that would yield at least a 0.3 megawatt reduction in electricity demand. For large industrials, monitoring and targeting programs can find tremendous reductions in electricity through eliminating waste and streamlining process. Once again, the OPA will cover 80% of the cost of a monitoring and targeting system like Energent's, but the company must consume 15,000 megawatt hours annually in electricity to qualify. The goal is to use the M&T system to develop, implement, and measure the results of energy conservation measures, but more importantly, maintain these saving levels for the long term. This is why they have stated that a 5-year reporting requirement after the project is complete. Monitoring and targeting is able to facilitate continuous improvement programs to ensure any savings opportunities that may be realized early in the project are leveraged and continued long after the project is complete. Finally, the Meter Lending Program can help engage companies understand where possible energy management opportunities are through increased visibility by submetering. As I mentioned before, all of the OPA programs are administered through your local distribution company, so ensure you have a strong relationship with the conservation manager at your utility. They will be very helpful in understanding which program best suits your needs. As we continue east, Hydro-Quebec has 2 electricity conservation initiatives that provide incentives for customers in Quebec to reduce their electricity consumption. The continuous measurement and energy management incentives provide 50% of the funding necessary, up to $50,000, to develop and implement an electricity management plan, as well as 50% of the cost of purchasing measuring equipment, up to $75,000. Measuring equipment can include submetering or an energy management system. For those companies that are more interested in finding the newest technology to support energy conservation initiatives, Hydro-Quebec offers 50% of the eligible project costs, up to $300,000, to reduce the risk of implementing highly effective yet new technologies. Efficiency New Brunswick has had a very comprehensive industrial energy conservation and incentive program and has been successful in implementing various energy conservation projects. As with many projects, Efficiency New Brunswick covers 50% of the project costs, but in this case, they covered 100% of the cost of an EMIS audit and implementation plan. Unfortunately, this plan was canceled in March of this year, and we have not received information or confirmation that the program will continue its original form or whether it's slightly modified. Keep watching Energent's website for more information on this as we post new information as soon as we see it. Before we shift to our natural gas programs, I just wanted to remind people that if you do have any questions regarding anything that we say during this webinar, please use the question tab to the right. So now let's look at some natural gas programs. The Canadian Gas Association has a great list of energy efficiency and incentives for businesses on their website. This can be seen on the slide now. But not all of this information is up to date, so we've done our best to update the information and provide it for you here. We will start in Ontario with Union Gas's incentive program for industrial clients. To begin, we click on the upper left of Rebates and Incentives. From this page, you can select Manufacturing, and as you can see here, there's another rebate and incentive menu. From this menu, the options for the incentives are revealed. Operations and maintenance programs of Union Gas's incentive program consists of implementing changes in operations and maintenance of equipment to lower costs. Examples of these improvements include steam traps, heat exchangers, economizer repairs, and improvements to the ventilation systems. The funding available is paid at 10 cents per meter cubed saved up to $20,000 or 50% of the cost of the project. As usual, it is the lower amount of these two. The Integrated Energy Management System program is designed to assess, implement, and utilize a fully integrated system. There are funds available to assess the potential of this IEMS, 75% of the assessment fee, up to $20,000, and the money to implement and manage the project moving forward of 50% or up to $100,000. The implementations include metering, analysis, training, and recording. As with other programs, there are incentives to adopt proven yet new technologies to reduce the risk to the consumer and encourage the adoption of new and innovative pieces of equipment and software applications. The trick here is to properly define these technologies to ensure they meet the new and innovative criteria and at the same time meet the proven requirement. This might be interesting. Our next natural gas utility that we will review is Enbridge. Enbridge is another natural gas distributor in Ontario. To find their incentive programs that are listed on their website, find the circled menu on the left of their home screen. Enbridge has designed their programs very similar to most other utilities by splitting up the incentives around identifying the opportunity and building a business case, and then tying some incentives to the actual energy reductions. For Enbridge's largest customers, those that consume more than 2.5 million meters cubed of natural gas a year, Enbridge will cover 50% of the cost of the studies and programs designed to identify opportunities, measure results, and perform the engineering studies, up to $10,000. As you can see, the incentives scale down to $1,000 for their smallest customers. To encourage and ensure that customers are not only implement these findings from the engineering studies, but maintain the results moving forward, there are two tiers of incentives that will cover natural gas reductions up to $75,000. The specific savings per meter cubed are listed there. And check with your Enbridge representative to see which rate structure you are in. Industrial customers consume 40% of all the natural gas consumed in Canada. For example, a single pulp and paper mill in British Columbia can consume 1.5 gigajoules of natural gas every year, or enough to heat 15,000 homes. To keep our numbers consistent, 1.5 million gigajoules is equivalent to 39 million meters cubed. It's a lot of gas. FortisBC manages natural gas across southern BC and north to Whistler and Prince George. To find out about their industrial incentive programs, click on the circled area on their webpage. At this point, FortisBC has a rebate program to conduct an industrial energy audit. This program is fully funded by FortisBC, but must be pre-approved prior to beginning the audit. We also know that FortisBC will be launching new programs in the future, so keep watching our Energent website for updates and information on some of the new programs for small and medium-sized industrial customers across British Columbia. There are two natural gas suppliers in Quebec, Gaz Fier and Gaz Metro. We will start by exploring the programs that Gaz Metro provides. Gaz Metro has 4 energy efficiency programs: feasibility studies, implementation measures, recommissioning programs, and a program to support innovative technologies. These are programs that are set up very similar to the other natural gas utilities across the country, which they support feasibility studies, implementation programs designed to maintain savings and reduce the risk of adoption of technologies by offsetting some of the cost. Gaz Fier funds feasibility studies focused on their retrofit programs. Specifically, these programs are designed to replace older, less efficient water heaters and boilers. We want to spend a little bit of time to show you how Energent can support energy management incentive programs for both the end user as well as the utilities. For the end user, we often perform a landscape assessment to help understand what programs you qualify for, either natural gas or electricity, who you need to talk to, and help planning out the next steps. The landscape assessment is an important component of any energy management plan. From that landscape assessment, we will have a better understanding of the requirements necessary to achieve the incentive targets, which commodity or commodities offer the best programs for your manufacturing business, and finally, which projects to tackle based on specific, measurable, and predictable results. This is the perfect time to install an energy management information system, such as Energent. An EMIS system can provide a lot of valuable information as you embark on an energy management strategy. Data is a valuable commodity that will help guide the decision-making process, including which projects to begin with, what investment is necessary, and what can the company expect in energy savings. This is the type of information that improves the outcome of projects, it lowers risks, and ensures projects continue saving money long after the original project is complete. Energent is very knowledgeable about many programs in many jurisdictions across Canada. And similar to a knowledgeable accountant who maximizes your tax return, Energent is able to maximize the impact of incentive programs that can be for you and your business. Energent brings together partners from all sides to support clients' energy management ambitions. We're very familiar with engineering firms, utilities, and distribution companies, and regulators that can support successful energy management strategies. There is an increasing number of standards and requirements that companies that are interested in energy efficiency and energy management must comply to. Energent is able to leverage the data available and in the Energent platform for uses in multiple areas, including reporting requirements for ISO 50001 and ISO 14064. Energent is able to be a strategic partner in energy management from project planning through implementation to reporting. In summary, we found out that most incentive programs are similar in design but unique in qualifications. It is important to ensure you have as much information on the programs as you are interested in to fully understand the opportunity. So get to know your utility representatives. Considering how many components are required to successfully navigate and maximize the incentive opportunities, it is difficult to conceive that a single company has the ability and time to pull everyone together for audits, studies, pilots, implementation, and the required reporting. Energent has the relationships and knowledge to bring all parties together to plan and execute on a full strategy. Many of our clients are from large industrials that have a big energy budgets and are looking for ways to reduce them. Fortune 500 companies have put faith in Energent to help them manage their energy data and ultimately support a comprehensive energy strategy. We have seen that an energy management system is put into place after many conservations are undertaken. In cases where the client has installed an EMIS early, the savings are often larger as the data gathered prior to the project has enabled better planning. And finally, the incentive programs often look for sustained savings, and an energy management system can not only provide visibility into the sustained savings, but also highlight opportunity for larger savings that may not have been visible in the past. Energent has been a trusted partner in the industrial manufacturing sector for many years, providing knowledgeable energy advice and analytics. We have customers across the country that have used Energent to lower cost and improve efficiency. Energent is the first choice when it comes to industrial energy management information systems and services. To let you know, we have 2 more webinars coming up in the next couple of months for the industrial sector. On Thursday, June 14th, we will host a very popular webinar on monitoring and targeting principles and applications in the industrial sector. 2 weeks later, on Wednesday, June 27th, we will host another webinar on the industrial energy incentive programs. We wanted to thank you for joining us on the webinar today. I hope you now have a better understanding of the different programs available for energy conservation initiatives and how you can leverage these for your manufacturing business. For more information, please visit our website. We have a specific page dedicated to the industrial sector and specifically for your needs. We'll have a number of documents and pages to help you leverage these incentive programs. You can find out a lot of information on how Energent can help you manage these programs and better manage and understand the overall cost of energy. So we have a number of great questions here, so I'm just going to take a few minutes to answer these questions. And as I answer them, please feel free to submit more. If we do have questions that I'm not able to answer, we will follow up personally with you after the webinar once I'm able to confirm that information. Okay, so let's go through some of the questions here. So there's a question about how long is a pilot on for, and is there any deadline for applying? And this is for the SIPAC program for the ISO 50001. So there is no deadline at this point for applying, although there is always a caveat that these programs can change at any time. So our recommendation always is to, if you are interested, begin the application process early so you can make sure that these incentive programs are still available when you do want to take care of that and go forward with that. And how long is a pilot for? I will find that information out. I do not have exactly how much time there is required for a pilot. And so there's a note here saying that Alltech has heard that the Ontario Meter Lending Project is not yet active. I have not heard that, but I will follow up and confirm that is the case, that there is that the Meter Lending Project is not active yet. I'm wondering if there's anyone from the OPA that is able to make a comment on that as we speak. Okay. Is there any other questions that we have here? Absolutely. We can send out information by email. What we'll do is we have your name, and we will send any specific information out. The webinar will also be recorded, and there is information on our website that you're able to access after the webinar is done. But I will follow up directly, and we can have a conversation regarding any of the specific information that you need. And how does a submetering program help identify 200 kilowatts of savings required from the program? So that's where the M&T and the measurement and verification come in to confirm the savings with respect to demand. So any of these programs require a certain amount of measurement and baselining at the beginning of the program, and then throughout and by the end of the program, they will do another baseline and measurement to be able to confirm the savings. So that's pretty well across not only the OPA but a number of other provinces that support savings, that there is a measurement and verification requirements throughout. So they'll do some baselining at the beginning, and then they'll do baselines at the end to confirm those savings. Is there any other questions? We had a number of great questions here today. Okay, so thank you very much for everyone for attending this webinar. Hopefully you'll be able to join us on June 14th for our next industrial webinar. And if you do have any other questions, please feel free to follow up with me by phone or by email. You can see my information on the screen, or by visiting the Energent website. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll see you again on the 14th.